Welcome back to Earth Station Trek, a show where we trek from the early days on NBC to the future on Paramount Plus and everywhere in between. I'm Charles Kelso, and it's my privilege to introduce the Earth Station Trek crew. Keith Johnson.
How's it going, everyone?
Alan Seiler.
What's up, everybody?
And Veronica Dashel.
Hi.
And you may have noticed that we're going out not on our usual night. We kind of cobbled a little bit of a show together tonight because we're so excited, because there was a ton of news coming out from San Diego Comic-Con this past weekend. And I mean, there was it was a wealth of stuff. So we're like, I don't want to wait. I want to I want to go on live and talk about it. So yeah, we got everybody together and we got out, and we've got a couple of people already joining us in the comments, which I appreciate it. Mr. Matt Sweatman says, hey, wait a minute, it's Monday. This is going to screw up my schedule for the whole week.
Yeah, it is.
And Tiger Blade 2002 says, hey, y'all, a little early.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's up, Wayne?
Yeah, and all weekend, I was just on my phone looking up what was going on from San Diego Comic from the minute the panel started, because as soon as it started, stuff started hitting the internet.
Yep.
And there was people like reports from the ground. There was, they were launching the trailers and clips, and it's exciting. I mean, and lately it seems like we've been sort of beaten up a little bit with all of our Star Treks being canceled. Mm-hmm. And so getting glimpses of new stuff coming up is really exciting.
Yeah, Charles, I don't think I've ever seen you post that much.
I know. I'm getting top contributor now.
It took 3.5 years, but you finally got there.
Right. It didn't say top over Keith, but I feel like I'm up there with you.
Nice.
Wow, I don't know that. I wasn't, I was peripherally paying attention to Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. And then like you posted something, and then Alan posted something, and I started looking, and I was like, holy crap. And then I'd do that thing where I'd see something like 3 a.m. I said, oh, I can't wait to post this. It's already been posted. So yeah.
Right.
There's so much going on.
We all did pretty good. Sometimes when this happens, we're like throwing the same things at the group at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
It was so much.
Luckily, most of the stuff was coming out on Friday, which just happened to be my day off.
Oh.
So I was able to catch, a good bit of it, and the Doctor Who stuff too, which I was super excited about.
Right. All right. We've got a couple of more comments I want to hit real quick before we start diving in.
Sure.
Irish Banshee 1974, which was 50 years ago, now that I think of it, says, woohoo, EST twice in 1 week.
Yep.
And I mentioned that
sweet.
because Elaine is joining us on her birthday.
Yay.
Spending her birthday evening.
Happy birthday, Elaine.
What? Let's talk about Star Trek. So happy birthday, Elaine.
Happy birthday. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
And
you're the best.
Tiger Blade 2002 says, hey, Keith, missed you, Alan.
Oh, well, thanks, buddy.
What's up, man?
And Mr. Daniel Pierce says, still needs more Michelle Yeoh.
Oh, well, you're going to get some of that. Don't you worry about that. That is
Absolutely.
coming up.
Well, speaking of which, I mean, are we ready to get started and start talking about Section 31?
Heck
I'm
yeah.
excited.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about all of them tonight, but I thought Section 31 is kind of a fun place to start.
Yeah, because it's like the one that we have not had anything about so far. We don't know really anything about this one until now.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that. Oh, that's a terrible image. That's not
I know. And he's
that's
not
a little
even
pixelated.
Yeah,
Sorry
I was
about
going
that.
to say, I don't remember Ash Tyler being in it.
No, he's not.
Yeah, me neither. Okay, never mind. I'll just take that down. I'll find another Michelle Yeoh and I'll put it up.
Okay. And I got to be honest, the Section 31 is the one I've least been looking forward to. And which is not against Michelle Yeoh. I'm not real into the Mirror universe. I'm not real into Section 31. So it's like putting two foods I'm not terribly excited about together and seeing if I like it, which maybe I will.
Mm-hmm.
The preview video did nothing
The trailer
for me. The trailer.
Okay.
It's a weird trailer.
What is that? I don't even know what's going on. That music. I mean, I know it's Beyonce. I know it's Beyonce. But this particular Beyonce does not belong in Trek.
Well, it seems like the weird thing is it seems like a trailer that's for a general audience. Like if we were talking about this weekend, like if you were going to put a trailer out like at the Super Bowl or before, like in the cinemas before the movies, like that'd be something that excite people who aren't big Trekkies. It just seemed like a strange choice to do the Beyonce trailer at Comic-Con and then as like the first released trailer because the nerds aren't Ooh, Beyonce's on the trailer. I'm gonna watch this. You know, not this Beyonce. I'm sure there's plenty of nerds who like Beyonce. It just seems like it's not reaching for that audience necessarily.
It's still a TV movie, correct?
Yeah, it's gonna be on Paramount Plus next year. They said.
I wonder if that's why it has that odd advertising, because it's a movie instead of a series. I don't know if that's anything to do with it.
Well, that, and I'm sure that they're trying to establish it as its own identity. They're not trying to make it look like it's a Starship show or anything like that. They're trying to give it its own identity. That's my guess.
Okay.
But I mean, it really. Bye, Keith. Oh, there he is. It really seems like it's a Giorgio movie. Not a Section 31 movie. You know what I mean? Now, it could just be the way that this trailer is slanted, and it could be that, you know, it'll look completely different once we actually see the thing. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
I agree with Charles, because as a very personal, subjective opinion, I have always felt that Section 31 is one of those things that works best in small doses. There's a lot of Star Trek fans who don't even like the existence of 31. I am positive Gene Roddenberry would have hated it had he lived. But I've always liked it, but I've liked it in those small doses when Cisco discovers its existence, even Captain Archer. I remember in Deep Space Nine, Cisco even sort of was led to believe it was literally 2-3 guys in a little room that was basically a closet. And of course, Archer finds out it's a little bit more than that. But I've always liked the secret, and I've said many times, Discovery, when they had ships and uniforms and badges, it was just way over the top to me. And so, Charles, I'm like you. I'm not super excited, but I don't know what they're going to do because I've read nothing. And then the trailer was the first I heard. That caught me off guard. So I have no clue what to expect,
right,
which is good.
I agree. I mean, this trailer looks nothing like what you assume it's going to look like when you just know that there's going to be a Star Trek Section 31 film. This looks completely different. And I find that exciting that they're going a completely unique route with this show. But also, it's a little bit like, I still don't know what to expect. You've shown me a lot of pretty pictures and you played me a Beyonce song, but, you know, I still don't know what. There she is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice one. Wow.
Yeah.
And they've described this kind of like Mission Impossible meets Guardians of the Galaxy is how they've.
And I think that's a really, really cool angle.
Yeah.
Oh, she's got half gloves on.
She's only half evil, Keith. She's getting nicer. On the panel, Alex Kurtzman called it Spy-Fi. That was his little.
I like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I really like the graphics that they used in the trailer. Like nothing looks Star Trek-y.
Right.
You know, there's no like traditional Star Trek logo like splashed up on the screen. It's got that that yellow backdrop with the slanted graphics and all that stuff. And I think it looks really cool.
Yeah. And again, though, I mean, do you think that considering they've got a lot of Star Trek-y elements in it, you have to sort of freeze frame and listen to the panel to find out about, but do you think that for the Comic-Con and online nerd audience that they would have been maybe safer starting with something a little more nerd friendly?
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. I mean, who are they showing this trailer to that they think isn't already in the Star Trek audience? You know, where are they going to be playing this trailer? And they think that this one thing is going to get people to, like, you know, new subscribers to P+. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think so, because I think it can't be underestimated, the fact that they can literally say Academy Award winner Michelle Yeoh.
Oh, sure. They splashed that on the screen as soon as they could. Like the second that it was. Yeah.
I don't blame them.
And I don't blame them. I would have too.
Yeah. That's a big deal. I'm kind of worried about it, because you might remember when we talked about this back when I first started babbling how I hated the Section 31 with all the ships and stuff. And Charles, you made a point back then of obviously maybe they buried knowledge of that organization by the time we get to people like Cisco. So I'm very curious to see if something happens where they're kind of their own downfall, you know, by the time this is over. Because again, by the time of Cisco, they don't know about Section 31. Archer before that doesn't know about Section 31. So it was relatively active for some period of time, and maybe it went really underground after whatever happens here.
What's
So
worth
curious.
noting too that Bashir also didn't know that Klingons used to have smooth foreheads.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird one, right?
And they weren't secret.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
So I mean, I think there's room to retcon it, and it
Yeah.
seems like the angle they're going for here is you've got this group of misfits that are brought together as Section 31 with sort of a Starfleet handler looking out for them, and it looks like that Starfleet handler is Casey Roll as Rachel Garrett.
No,
that's
really.
where they get
Yeah.
the Guardians of the Galaxy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Rachel Garrett? Rachel Garrett?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
Rachel
Rachel Garrett.
Garrett. Yeah, future captain of the Enterprise C.
Yeah.
Whoa. You
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
see I haven't paid attention to any of this stuff. Whoa.
So is that
Right.
part of her undercover look? And we don't see Rachel Garrett?
That's what I'm guessing, because we see her in a variety of outfits, but it looks like she's
Interesting.
Rachel Garrett is the Starfleet handler who is sort of, as she says in the trailer, making sure that they don't murder people.
Right.
Good luck.
Right. I
Especially with
had completely forgotten that she was going to be in this.
Right. And it had
That
come out,
announcement came out ages ago.
right. And I was listening for it in the panel, and Alex Kurtzman did call her Rachel Garrett, because that came up into the discussion, because I was kind of being cagey about some articles had said that she was playing younger Rachel Garrett, but here we see but he did actually say in the panel he called her Rachel Garrett, so we can say that she's playing Rachel Garrett.
He didn't call her Rachel Garrett.
Right. But that may be also a clue as to when this is set, assuming that this is say 20 years, 10 years before the Enterprise C disappeared in 2344. Right. It's sort of the lost era of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Assuming there's not weird temporal shenanigans happening.
No, that would never happen.
Yeah. No more guardian of the whatever with the smoking the cigar, please.
Mm-hmm. Let me get a stack of comments here. There's only 4. It's not a big stack.
Okay.
Matt Sweatman says, nice to feel hyped about Trek's future again. Yep. He also says, the Section 31 trailer definitely feels like it's going for a different feel than other Trek.
Okay.
Agreed. Elaine says, it felt more like a slick, stylized spy movie, very glossy.
Yeah.
That's a great description.
Right.
Matt jumps back in and says, I think it's going for a Suicide Squad type of thing.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, when did we leave Mirror Georgiou?
Well, last time we saw her, she was going through the Guardian of Forever.
Yep.
But we don't know where she was going to wind up. He was going to send her somewhere closer, because the problem that she was having on Discovery was that she had traveled universes and 800 years into the future. And so she was having or 900 years into the future. So she was like, it was too much. Like her body couldn't handle it. And so he was going to send her back closer to her own time period, at least. So it looks like in the prime timeline, that's what I'm assuming. We don't know that for a fact, but I'm assuming that. But in a time period, at least it's closer to when she left. So either Rachel Garrett was really old when she was commanding the Enterprise C, or, it could be in the Lost era. But we don't know that for sure. I'm sort of speculating based on the fact that Rachel Garrett is in it.
We don't even know how far into her career she was when she was captain of the Enterprise, the one time that we saw her.
Right. We know that Tricia O'Neill was 45 when she played the part.
Yeah.
But that's not definitive, obviously. She could, easily be playing 55 or whatever,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I wanted to run through a couple of the quick things because we're 15 minutes in. But some of the things that were revealed by the trailer, looks like Sven Rudrock's character looks like he's either a Romulan or a Vulcan. He's got pointy ears.
Yes.
Sam Richardson's character is a Kamaloid, like Iman from Star Trek 6, the shapeshifter.
I read that today. Yeah, I just read that today. That's interesting.
Ooh, that's cool.
Which
would make sense.
Yeah, and they point out on the panel that's useful for a spy organization.
True.
But for that time period, it's a good pull. That's a good sort of one-time use alien that's good to see again. Humberly Gonzalez's character looks like she's a Deltan. We don't know that for a fact.
Yes.
She's bald and she has that sort of Deltan look to her. And
but there was some reference to a Deltan though.
Right. And the little warning that came up at the beginning.
Yeah.
Deltan fraternization. So I think that's
I'm
possible.
sure that's
right.
That's kind of exciting too.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there was some good nerd bait in this that they just didn't even focus on. You could have had a clip of a sexy Deltan and showed that to Comic-Con and the nerds.
Yeah.
And got a lot of people interested. That's
all you needed.
Exactly.
Robert Kaczynski has sort of like a robo suit on, and he has said on Twitter that his character is not a Borg.
Well, that's
Which is
good.
Right.
Yeah.
But then we saw a lot of some flashbacks to young Giorgio.
That's the interesting thing to me.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not sure where this is going,
Right.
but I think it's really cool.
Mhm.
And I think the actress that they got to play young Giorgio looks great.
Sure. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
That's the part that I was excited about when I was watching the preview.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Of seeing young Giorgio.
Was the flashbacks.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. The thing that works for me in it is that throughout the entire trailer, you don't see any Starfleet ships. You don't see any Starfleet uniforms.
Right.
And I like those things, but if they're setting it in the timeline, you know it's not going to look like the way I think it should look. So just stay away from it. Just stay like
Yeah.
I'm excited to see stories that take place out in the Star Trek world that aren't necessarily on a Starfleet ship. We've had
Agreed.
a lot of shows and movies on Starfleet ships. So I think, but also, I mean, you can, like, they have some quick shots of computer screens that look kind of retro. Like, it seems like they'd be more willing to do sort of the retro, like, almost Millennium
Grunge.
Falcon-y stuff
Yeah.
of like the 80s Trek. With, that feels to me like it would fit better in the continuity.
Right. And, I have said 8 million times on this show, so forgive me for repeating myself, but I always want them to do things that expand the Star Trek universe to let us see more of what's outside the Federation or outside of what we see come from the Academy. I want to see what life is like in the Star Trek galaxy. And this is one of those shows, I think, that's going to be showing us a lot of things that we've never seen before, but within that context. Like we have Adelton, we have Giorgio, who we already know. We're going to get that stuff, but it's going to be in a context that we're familiar with. And I'm really excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes where like the Next Generation cast or the TOS cast would visit a bar, and you see these people who are just living in the Star Trek world.
Right.
And I'd love to see more stories about those kind of people. I don't want to get too far away from Star Trek, so I'm glad there's a Starfleet character in there, and they're sort of, but they seem like they're leaning into the lore with at least the choices of the aliens and things like that.
Yes.
Feels very appropriate to the era.
Absolutely. One last quick comment. Matt says, I think Section 31 would use a lot of non-Starfleet tech, so hopefully we'll see some of that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
also what Charles was saying about selection of races, if you think about it, it's one of these things you see sometimes in comic books where they put together a team that's very specific.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many telepathic / empathic / shape-shifting races that they could pull from.
Yep.
I mean, and I should know the name. What's the race in the animated series where the one was Carter Winston, but they don't trust him because they played the Vendorian? Yeah, there's beings like that because Vulcans are touch telepaths. There's all kinds of people they could use for covert ops and black ops.
Yeah, if you're putting together a black ops team, Cameloid and Adelton is a good start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So is the Adelton going to be sexy then, I guess, kind of, sort of? Is that
judging by this picture, yes.
All Deltons are sexy.
Yeah,
come on.
By definition.
And even if they aren't, they're going to make you think they are.
Yeah. From the short clip that we saw, Humberly Gonzalez is meeting that requirement.
Right.
She's not going to let us down.
Exactly.
But I mean, speaking of which, they made an announcement about a new series. Did you guys hear about it?
Yes.
And I think this is kind of a good transition because it also seems to be about people in the Star Trek universe that are not part of Starfleet. It was Justin Simeon and Tawny Newsome.
Yes.
And Justin Simeon obviously is famous for
Dear White People.
Dear White People.
Hey, look, I remembered something that you forgot.
Thank you. But they seem like a good team. Their interplay at the panel was fantastic. But they're developing what they're calling the first live action Star Trek comedy.
Yes.
It seems like it's going to be a half hour.
Yep.
Yes. And
it's what they described it as is Federation outsiders working on a resort planet who discover that their sort of misadventures are being broadcast to the entire quadrant.
Yes. So it's a reality show / Truman Show kind of situation.
Yes,
which is neat.
Truman Show. Yeah.
And I'm gonna put myself right on the record right this minute. It had to be 2 years ago when we were talking about what we would like to see, and I kept saying you could do anything with Star Trek, blah blah blah. And I said you could even do a half-hour sitcom in the Star Trek universe. Clearly, Tawny was listening to our show, and I will take full credit for putting that bug in her ear.
Yeah.
And I will remind her of that when I meet her at DragonCon.
Indeed.
All I can think of is a one-camera sitcom with canned laughter.
Well, I would
love that.
Right.
That would be so great.
Yeah. The thing that kind of excites me about it is, in addition to just spending a little more time in the Star Trek universe, I feel like a show like that's going to have a smaller budget. And I've been kind of advocating on the show for a long time. I think they overspend on some of these shows that raises the expectation of how much it has to make. Like, you can do Star Trek aliens and Star Trek situations without, building this elaborate head and 3D printing a costume with Norwegian silk and all the the over elaborate stuff that they do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would love to see
Alan's laughing, but it's not
right. That's what they do. But I would love to see a show where they're grabbing stuff off the rack and doing basic makeup and just coming up with interesting things for the characters to say.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And situational comedy.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
And it doesn't have to be an epic end of the world every season.
Please no.
Right. So I'm excited about it. I think that has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Well, and at this point, I will trust Tawny with wherever she leads me, I will follow.
Right.
I mean, that's just the bottom line.
So do you think she'll act in it as well, or just serve as a writer and producer?
No. I mean, because she's also on the writing staff of Starfleet Academy, which we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes.
Right.
So I don't know. Does she have the time to do those two jobs and act too? I don't know.
Maybe not. But if she doesn't, then
she'll have a walk on at least.
Yeah, maybe she'll sneak Boimler and Mariner in there to show up in live action. I would love that.
That'd be amazing.
Now they did sort of indicate in the panel that it'd be a 25th century setting, so sort of like the now in Star Trek.
Yes.
Which would be exciting because then they can do walk-ons from legacy characters if they want.
Yes.
It's an exciting prospect.
Absolutely. All right. Okay. Shall we move on?
What do we have up next on our itinerary?
The next one.
Next.
No, not yet. The next one.
A huge, great segue.
Well, too bad I put the pictures in a different order.
That's why.
Strange New Worlds, season 3.
Yeah.
And we got a big
uniform.
Yeah, we got a big scene, which I'm guessing is from episode 2.
Maybe.
It's not episode 1 because we know
that'd be a really strange pivot.
We're being killed. We're being slaughtered by the Gorn. But hey, let's turn into Vulcans and go do a thing on the ship.
Yeah. I don't know how deep we want to get into it, but there's a lot of opinions on the clip.
Yeah.
Oh boy, are there ever?
I thought of you, Keith, right off. Because the first thing I thought watching it was, of course, changing your biology doesn't make you behave like a Vulcan. That's a learned behavior. Like Vulcans spend a lifetime learning to be Vulcan, right? It's just not because of their biology. So, but I had some more thoughts about it, but I wanted to let someone else go.
Well, my first thought was just because you take a serum and you get turned somehow magically, genetically into a Vulcan, why would that change your hairstyle?
Right.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
That just drove me nuts.
Okay.
And that's a stupid thing to focus on my part. But at the same time, it's like,
but Pike's hair.
Yeah.
No, it looked awful. I'm sorry.
Braided Uhura's hair.
I mean, come on, that's stupid. No, it wasn't. It was like a fro kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a big
which
hair.
Looked freaking sexy as hell.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say, I'm so glad that she's, away from the buzz cut kind of thing.
Right.
She looks amazing.
Keith.
I think Matt Sweatman and a friend Nathan Laws basically said they were kind of meh on this, and I was kind of the same way. It didn't. I'm curious about it. Don't hate it, but I'm not at all interested in it. Honestly, that picture Alan flashed Spock in the red suit that reminds me of the naked time. Has me more curious than anything else. At least it's not a shower curtain or whatever.
I do love that suit. That is a great updating the look, but making it look more realistic. It even has he could put his hand up there and rub his nose if he wants to during the play.
Right.
But no, going back to the Vulcan thing. I mean, I think they know what they're doing, because watching all the interviews that have come out around Comic-Con and the panels, everyone loves the gimmicks. Like every question they're asking them is about Subspace Rhapsody and things like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And immediately Pike's hair is a move, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they know what they're doing. My nerd brain, I watched this clip so many times watching I was listening to the Techno Babble. I watched it enough times that Veronica said, "Are you watching this again?" I was like, "Shush, I'm listening to what she's saying." Because they're not using the gene changing technology that they had on the ship originally. They're using a modification of the Krakowian virus, which the Krakowians were from Charade last year. They're those multi-dimensional beings that changed Spock, but they didn't just change his biology. They sort of changed him into a human, and he was behaving like a human as well.
Oh, yeah.
So my thought is, it's kind of like if Q showed up and snapped his fingers and everybody was a Vulcan and acted like a Vulcan, we wouldn't question it. We'd be like, well, Q does that. So I'm, in my head, just linking it to the fact that these weird beings can just turn you into a Vulcan, and they've made a modification. The hypo spray thing, I think, is what sort of makes you trip over it, because it feels like a gene change, which obviously wouldn't make them change their behavior like that.
Right. In most every other series that we've ever seen, whenever they go and do these kind of things, it's a surgical alteration.
Right.
And I'm wondering if we have this magical potion that's going to do this thing for us. And I wonder if whatever it is that happens in this episode, because we see at the end of the scene that they don't turn back into humans and they have to. So I wonder if that's going to be the thing where it's like, well, I guess we can't use serums anymore. We'll have to find another way. And then the other way becomes surgical alteration.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I'll be okay with this. But, you know, I just don't like jokey gimmicks.
Sure.
I do like comedy. I like comedy, but I don't like where an episode is built around a gimmick that's just set there to like be funny or to be, I don't know. It just bugs me.
Same here.
I'm just not into it.
Yeah, but a lot of people are. So I can see why they keep doing it.
I know I'm in the minority.
Because there were no questions about, will they meet a new alien race on a strange planet? You know, which are the episodes that excite me. Like a clip, like something of that Children of the Comet episode is what would have gotten me excited. You know? But they're not,
me too.
But they've already got me. You know, I'm gonna be watching it anyway.
Here's a couple of comments. Matt says, last year we had the Lower Decks crossover to look forward to, and I trust there's other wonderful, great things coming, but this episode isn't that. Now, you don't know that yet. All you know is that first scene, and it could be that the whole episode is going to be great. I don't know. And then Elaine says, Pike's Vulcan hair is just horrid. Thank you very much. It's up there with Henry Cavill's hair in Argyle.
I didn't say it was good. I said it was awesome.
Okay.
Not a good awesome. It's just like a lot.
I feel like you're back.
I get you. You're right.
Replay the tape.
Mr. Data.
So the one thing I did like in this is it went back to original season 1, episode 1 Chapel gene changing. That is what her specialty was in the pilot episode.
But that wasn't what they were. Maybe they were doing a modification on that, but they specifically said they were using a modified version of the Krakowian virus, or serum.
This brought me back to what she did that first time around.
That makes sense.
But like when they changed them in that episode, it didn't change their behavior. They just changed their look.
Right, but this is a super alien serum that has qualities that she is investigating. She's playing with. She's seeing if she can. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. For me, the more they tie it to those weird aliens, the better. Because weird space aliens can do all kind of weird things in Star Trek.
Exactly. Wayne chimes in by saying, well, I could handle another K-pop Klingon episode.
They're getting a lot of questions.
One was more than enough.
Yeah, Wait, don't do that to us.
That was like half the questions.
Half the questions that we saw them ask was about about.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And Wayne, here's just for you. If that's the kind of thing you like, definitely be here for our show Thursday night.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We'll tell you more about that at the end of this episode.
Yes, we will. Okay.
All right.
Well, what's up next?
Lower Decks. Lower Decks.
Lower Decks. I'm still going.
I'm really excited about Lower Decks.
Yes.
I always am. Always am.
Last season was so good, and all the stuff they did the last few. I started to the back half of that season, but actually the entire season was good.
Yeah, that whole season was so good.
They get better and better.
Yeah.
There's really exciting thing to me about this that maybe you saw. I posted a picture of it in the group chat, but there's a scene of Tendi fighting a TAS Orion, and he's in the classic outfit. He's blue. He's firing a weapon at her, and there's a quick clip in the trailer, but in the panel, and Noelle Wells specifically says that you're going to see green Orions and blue Orions, and she said Orion.
Orions? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, I love that.
I'm really excited for that.
Yep.
Oh yeah, me too. So, what did y'all think of this trailer? Are we getting a mirror universe episode?
I don't know. It seems like we can't avoid them.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it kind of sounds that way with the different crew structure and Boimler with the beard and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well,
and you see the two Cerritos is facing off. I don't know.
And it doesn't look like the mirror universe.
No, well,
it looks like a alternate universe.
Yeah,
it's parallel in some way, definitely.
Yeah. I'm okay with an alternate universe. I'm a little weary of the mirror universe.
I agree.
But no, I mean, I think just meeting alternate versions of themselves could be fun. And there's that Robo version of Rutherford.
Yeah,
with the extra hand.
Yeah,
that's so weird.
Yeah,
so weird.
I did love how they sort of spoofed the teaser trailer for Star Trek 6 with the voiceover and everything. And it's I hate that they had to do it for season 5 because they got prematurely canceled. But I love that they did it because they've been sort of spoofing their promotional material, each of the Star Trek movies, with the posters. And so I hate that they had to jump forward to the Final Adventure one.
Yeah,
but hopefully not. Hopefully they'll save it. But for now, it delighted me to see that because I that was on so many VHS tapes when I was a kid. I saw that trailer all the time.
If it does, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
If it does get saved and they do get a 6th season somehow, whether it be Netflix or Paramount Plus changes them or whatever, then I hope they redo this exact trailer. But then when it breaks in at the end, where Beckett says, "Are they talking about us?" to say something completely different, and then so it's like the same setup, but then the break-in is like a whole different thing. Wait a minute, didn't we do this already?
I will note then this leads right into my thing, Alan, so this works out perfect. That Mike McMahon in the panel was very specifically saying the last season on Paramount Plus.
Yeah,
he was very specific about last season on Paramount Plus every single time.
Yeah,
on Paramount.
They still want to save it. They talk about that in the panel.
Yes.
And there's still that attitude from them of they want to get. And at one point, when they said that, and like Noelle Well tried to get the audience to boo, and they're like, no, we don't want to make the audience boo. It was funny.
Oh, I so wish Noelle was coming to Dragon Con. I want to meet her so badly. All right,
she did say if she did a live action version that she would agree to be painted green.
Yeah, she has reached that point. She was thinking about it, not doing it originally, but now she's at the point where she's like, "Yep, let's do it."
Cool. Matt says, I was at the height of my Trek fandom during the 25th anniversary year, and that Star Trek 6 teaser was all over that year. Glad they skipped Star Trek 5 in their season promotion. Oh, poor Star Trek 5.
I like Star Trek 5.
It's fine.
Is that the one?
Y'all
with the
leave it alone.
No, Veronica.
Which one's the one with the whales?
4.
Cybok. It's the one with Cybok.
Yes.
Oh, it's
I need my pain. It's the one I Kirk. I need my pain.
Yeah. I would love to see Boimler and Mariner camping and climbing El Capitan.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe we'll get it.
Yeah, they did kind of a spoof of that already, but still, I can never have enough of
that. Sure.
Yeah.
Any other things that from that trailer that stood out?
I mean, there was so much from it.
There always is.
The exciting thing to me is that they're on a planet at some point that's getting rid of its scarcity, and they're throwing their money out. Like, I'm excited about that kind of stuff more so than like the whatever legacy characters are coming back. I love the Strange New Worlds. Anytime I can get them in Star Trek, and they're fewer and far between. So I love them when we can get them.
Yeah. I agree with you there too. One thing I found very interesting with all these shows, and I would even go back to include the now done Picard, is there's so much frustration sometimes with waiting. but I will say everyone seems to take advantage of the time that they have. They really, you really can tell they went off and they actually do good stuff. You know, they plot it out. Production values are high, so that's actually a good thing. Nothing would be worse than the wait and it comes back and well, that was it.
Right.
Right.
And they've done good work so far.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Matt says his thing that he points out is the decon chambers theme.
Oh, gosh.
Absolutely. That's exciting.
Yeah. And
He
one-
also says if we had a 6th season coming, yeah, give us Star Trek 6 promotion. But as it is,
yeah. ...
Anyway.
Yeah, there was one scene in the trailer where they're going undercover on a planet as you know, orange aliens with antennae, which I just love that it's not a species that I know. You know, it's sort of riffing on the Andorians. It's just something different.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like how it was like a 3D printer pen that they were using to add the antennae.
Yeah. And I mean, one thing they did last year, they sort of got to the point where they had an episode where they were really just riffing off of themselves, and it was bringing back a bunch of lower deck stuff,
Yes.
like Agamus and Peanut Hamper and Badgie and all that kind of stuff. And I would love to see more of that. I would love to see them, because they've built up a wealth of stuff that they've created themselves.
Absolutely.
I would love to see them do more of their own, just their own stuff that doesn't necessarily have to be a Star Trek reference, as much as I do enjoy the Star Trek references.
So something maybe along the lines of Moopsie.
I'm not really a Moopsie guy,
come
but okay.
on. Oh,
I also don't
Moopsie's
like
the
Murph. I'm an
greatest.
old grump.
Yes, Charles, it's funny you
the
say that because I know you're not a fan of the series Enterprise, but
That's true.
yeah, but one of the things that's so funny is almost without exception, most fans who like Enterprise love the 4th season that Manny Coulter ran, and it was the one that brought in the Orions and the Augments and all this kind of stuff. And while I acknowledge it was a very well produced season, it's actually not my favorite because of what you said. When they encountered new aliens in Enterprise, I enjoyed it. Even if it wasn't perfectly written, I like seeing new aliens. So when they would, you know, when they would bring back the Ferengi and the Organians and stuff in Enterprise, like, I've seen them. You know, so I agree with you. I want to see something new out there.
Yeah. But the problem with a prequel is that if you have too many new aliens, you have to think, well, why didn't I ever see those beyond this show? Why didn't I ever see these in the 24th century or whatever? Anyway, but that's a side conversation.
Yeah. But one thing I think all of the new Star Treks could do more of is new species, new recurring species.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a hefty fear there, I think, with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to get into Starfleet Academy.
Starfleet Academy. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's beautiful. What do y'all think of the logo, first of all?
Is this the one from the show?
It has to be the one from the show because they've used it on everything now.
Okay.
They've put it's in the trailer. It's in not the trailer. It was on all the like cast announcements and all that kind of stuff. So it's got to be.
Right.
Is that to the stars through science or something like that?
Yeah, I think that was already that. Yeah, I think that was already the logo for Starfleet Academy, like on the show.
Yeah.
But that they would use on like materials and stuff. But yeah, they had a logo that was similar to that, but a little bit different. If I'm remembering it correctly, that they showed as well. So I don't know, but I'm looking forward to what they're going to do with it. I mean, the one thing that we got over the weekend was some casting. And some of them are actors that we don't know, which is good. You want to have some actors you don't know, the young cadets, but also we found out some returning actors as well.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Exciting returning actors.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. Look at that.
Robert Picardo.
Robert Picardo. That's super cool.
Did anybody expect Robert Picardo?
No. Everything about this casting was a surprise. I think one thing we all talked about is Mary Weissman being recurring or whatever, a guest and not the main, was a shock.
I saw some reporting that's called her just a guest star.
Yeah.
Whereas Tig and Oded Fair, they called recurring guest stars.
Recurring.
But her, they just called a guest star. And they didn't say that in the panel, so I don't know what other material might be available that I don't have access to. But I will be disappointed if it's just a guest spot for Mary Wiseman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And surprised.
Especially after she was almost not there at all and at the Academy during the season 4.
They spent a lot of real estate on Discovery setting up Mary Wiseman at the Academy.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So when I mean, if she's recurring, she might be recurring a lot. You
Right,
know,
but
maybe not
the
in every episode, but maybe 6 out of 10 or something
The
like
report
that.
I read didn't call Mary Wiseman recurring at all. Just called her a guest star. Yeah.
Well, I know, but other
then-
places it seemed to say that she was
Okay. Maybe
recurring.
She will. I hope you're right.
I mean, right.
Well,
I mean, it's got
Yeah,
to be more
I'm
than
not
just
arguing with you. I haven't seen the show yet, but
Yeah,
You
but it's
haven't?
really weird.
It's really good. Wait till you see it.
right.
But it's really weird because even on our show, to you guys about talking about Discovery, how many times did we say, "Oh, well, Mary Weissman's not here because she must be over there doing the other show"? You know, so we always assumed she was over there helping film.
They spent a lot of time establishing her,
Yeah.
setting her up in Academy, having her
Right.
come back and say, "Man, this teaching gig is like blah blah blah,"
You're
and
right.
sending her
Mhm.
out on missions with 4 trainees and showing her in that instructional role.
Yes.
So how is she not going to be a significant part of this show?
Right.
I just don't understand this at all.
You're right.
Yeah.
I
Is
can
that
only assume
writing?
that there's something going on with her potentially.
Like
Yeah,
maybe they
actress.
wanted it, but they couldn't get her.
Yeah, that
Okay.
she decided she's
Maybe.
moving into something else.
Or maybe the money talks broke down, or maybe we're wrong and she's going to be in every episode. Who knows? Because we're kind of going off internet reports right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, even in the flash forward at the end of Discovery,
Mhm.
they commented, "Oh, she's the longest tenured professor in Academy history."
Right.
Yes.
I mean, if that's not a setup,
Right.
what more can you do? I mean,
Now-
come on.
They have set up a show at the end of a season of another show on Star Trek before, which
That
they
is
had.
true.
They're not making at all. So
That's true. Oh, okay. Wayne says, I was just thinking for someone to bring up Moopsy or waiting for someone. Alan, you did not disappoint. Thank you.
Right.
I try never to. Matt says, speaking of the 25th anniversary year, they've been talking about doing a Starfleet Academy show movie since then.
that's true.
Oh, that's been talked about many times in
That was-
lots of different ways.
Yeah, that they were developing that as a potential 6th film before
Yep.
they decided to get the cast back for the 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, because Elaine says it, she says Tig Notaro.
I know, and I was going to say, well, what do you guys think about Tig Notaro being back on the show?
I tell you, I am surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because, for the last 3 or 4 years of Discovery, she was like I'll do a little bit here and there, So
Yeah.
I'm really kind of surprised that she has committed to another show, but I'm thrilled. And as I said on our Facebook page, with both the EMH and Jet Reno on this show, the sass level is going to be
Oh my god.
like you.
I want to
nobody
see
else
those
will-
two go at it
nobody else
together.
will
It's
get
gonna be
lines on this show.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
It's
So-
going to be incredible.
So I assume it's the doctor from Voyager, not his clone from Voyager. That
We
was
don't know.
Well,
That's
there's
the-
no.
Big
Yeah.
internet debate right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
So you remember the one in the other that was
No, I
left
do.
behind? Yeah, I
Oh,
love
okay.
that episode. Yeah, wouldn't it be funny if that one like got off the shuttle and was like, "Hey, I need something to do because there's
Yeah.
2 of them."
That'd
Right.
be awesome.
Right.
Yeah, I think if Tig Notaro is in it with the frequency that she's in Discovery, where she just sort of pops in and out, I think
Yeah.
that could work better if she's like the Academy shop teacher or something. And
Right.
she's just around the grounds and they run into her and she gives a little advice and then wanders off,
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised at all that Oded Fair is in it because that makes sense. He's like the head of Starfleet.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, he just looks like head of Starfleet. I mean, that guy, he's one of those actors. He just brings authority with everything he
Mhm.
does. So he's just cool. A funny thing about Tig Notaro, I think it's funny because over the years, both in universe and outside, there's always those characters they talked about that would probably end up back at the Academy. You'd hear about Mr. Scott. You heard that about Miles O'Brien. And so finally they get an engineer who can do that, go back to the Academy and do the thing that, sometimes they think an engineer would do when they get tired of being on a ship. So that makes sense with her.
here's what's going to be interesting, though. She is not from 31st century.
Right.
Right.
So she's going to bring a very different perspective to engineering classes than what students or maybe faculty would be expecting to get.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
Mhm.
It's kind of like having Pelia on the Enterprise because she has that centuries old perspective.
Yeah.
That's different from everybody else on the ship.
I
And
like, yes, I agree. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right down there. I agree. I had a personal conversation. Somebody yesterday asked me about AI, and you guys probably know I work in AI, and I started a rant about how I don't like AI. And it absolutely told you what where I was from in my generation versus this other person who's like, man, just feed everything you are to AI and let it think for you. And so to what you're saying, Alan, I could see Tig being that way, like all that, what do they call it? The programmable matter and detaching the cells. I can see her go, there's your problem right there. I could just hear her saying that stuff so much.
Sure, absolutely.
It would be fun for the doctor to be walking around talking about how he's not 800 years old. And then her just come along and make fun of him because she's older than he is. Take the wind out of his sails. I think that could be a really fun dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's too bad Boothby's not still around. There'll be some interesting conversations between the doctor and Tig and Boothby.
Right.
You got to wonder if there's not going to be a Boothby equivalent character.
Yeah.
Some dude who's like tending the garden or whatever.
That could be a doctor for all we know.
Well, that's very true.
Tig.
True.
Because she apparently has all these random interests that we didn't know
That's true about that. Yes.
She could be the gardener.
Good call back, Veronica. We were talking about that those sorrows.
She had dreams when she was knocked out on Discovery about playing in Prince's band. Maybe she's the music teacher.
That could be.
Yeah, that's a great callback, Veronica, because we kept joking about they just started throwing up. She had these random skills and interests in the last few episodes of Discovery. It came out of nowhere.
Yep.
Did you guys see the video of them giving the Academy cadets the news that they got the part?
I love that video.
Yes.
Wasn't that sweet?
Cool.
That was so sweet.
Yeah.
I love
Go ahead.
all their reactions. I loved how enthusiastic they are about it. I love that it seemed to mean something to them. I mean, I know it means I've gotten a starring role on a recurring show, but maybe it also means something more,
Yeah.
Maybe it means, holy snot, I'm in Star Trek.
Yeah. And I hope that we're able to watch this show for 5 or 7 years and then go back and watch that video again. Because imagine if we could have seen the shot of Leonard Nimoy finding out he got the part, or
right,
Cole Meany or whomever, because now they're all strangers to me. But I can't imagine coming back to watch this again after I've watched several seasons of them.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Charles, I have to do another Enterprise callback, but I remember when the team that did Enterprise, they were pretty much all unknowns as far as the genre goes, and I remember them saying they were so kind of stunned. And Scott Bakula, who was a veteran, not in Star Trek, was the one who told them, basically how to act and get ready for it. And they said people told them, "You're now in the Star Trek universe. Are you ready for it?" And I think once they got canceled early, they thought, well, that didn't work, but it does work, because once you're in for pretty much the rest of your life with Star Trek.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And even if it's like an episode or a show I don't like, I'll go up and be happy to watch the person talk about it and meet them.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're in the club.
Yeah.
Except for the very short Trex guy.
Yep. They can go die in a hole.
Don't say that.
Oh boy.
They can go sit in a hole.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh dear. Okay, one last thing. Matt says, I always love getting new characters played by relatively unknown actors. We need new blood to keep the franchise fresh.
Yep.
Absolutely agree with that.
500%.
And there were several comments in the panels about representation. Like there was a deaf gentleman who came up and asked if there would be any deaf representation, and there was a lady in a wheelchair who came up and asked if there'd be any people using mobility aids, and he said yes to the Starfleet Academy, to the deaf gentleman, and to the lady with the mobility aid. He said, "Well, just wait till you see the wheelchair with a Delta on it that we've just built that you're going to be seeing in Starfleet Academy." So it sounds like we're going to be getting a lot of representation in Starfleet Academy, which may just be the folks there's going to be a lot of students, you would guess, right? But I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see, more folks represented in Star Trek, and hopefully with featured roles.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's really cool.
The entire panel is up on YouTube. If you've not seen it, it's delightful to watch.
Yes.
It's like an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I hadn't watched it yet.
Right.
Looking at the thing you played, the picture you put up, it just struck me. I just realized it says established 2161.
Yeah.
I don't know Star Trek history on that level, because Enterprise Archer was in 2150, 2051. So I guess 10 years after, because we saw the Federation, we saw the first bit of the Federation get done. So yeah, that goes back pretty early because Enterprise is like 2150, 21.
Right.
Then I think at the end of the series, the Federation is established right around the time of the Academy.
Yeah. In the Star Trek lore, the Federation was founded in 2161, and then Enterprise started in 2151, 10 years earlier. But they continually reference Starfleet training, but not necessarily the Academy. During Enterprise.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else we
I
haven't?
think we could go all day, but I think we've hit really the big stuff. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting to get a whole bunch of new information and new stuff coming, and less of all the shows you like are canceled and more like we've got more stuff coming down the line,
Yeah.
Right. Going back, there was also the thing with the Star Trek and Doctor Who togetherness thing, and there's the new mobile game that's coming out, which seems to be two different games, but they somehow mesh up together. Because they have two different names for them, and it seems like it's two different things you have to download, but there's got to be some crossover there because they call it a crossover, and because they show three main characters in two different animation styles. One the way that the Doctor Who game is animated, and one in the Lower Decks animation style. So there's got to be some way that these two games like intermingle somehow. But there was that trailer, because this whole thing is like I forget what they call it, but friendship is galactic or whatever the stupid nonsense that was. And they had this sort of like 5-minute they had this 5-minute video that was all clips from Doctor Who and Star Trek and talking about relationships and family and connectiveness and all this kind of stuff. And it was so interesting that it included clips from Prodigy. Like they keep doing this. They keep referencing Prodigy and these kind of things when they threw it in the garbage.
Right.
Oh, you're frustrating the hell out of me, Paramount.
Reference Prodigy when they got rid of it.
It depends who's making it, because CBS Studios is still involved with Prodigy, and Paramount Plus, is the one who canceled it. So if CBS Studios put it together, then fair play, because they're making the show.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Well,
that makes sense.
What did you think about the news that it was going to be a mobile game crossover?
I mean, I didn't think it was ever going to be anything more than that. I thought it might be a comic book.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was never going to be anything more than that. Right. And so a game at least is something you can have interaction with.
Okay.
And has, presumably character voiceovers and, I'm sorry, actor voiceovers. That's what I meant to say.
I don't play any games,
fine.
So I was like, meh. Veronica, you play mobile games. What did you think?
I didn't read too much on the details, but I've been playing the Lower Decks game, the Lower Decks, the Badgie Directive. And it's an interesting story, but I mean, like, I'm on like part 16 out of Unknown, and Badgie has them trapped in the holodeck, and more people just keep getting in there, and it just keeps looping around. Badgie has them stuck in there, and they have to do these random things, and it's getting a little repetitive, and I've only been playing it for a couple of days.
Yeah. Now they did also.
Is that the game that came out like a couple of years ago?
Probably, yeah. Because I started playing.
I couldn't get into it. I tried playing it, and I was like, I can't figure this out. This is irritating me.
Yeah, I did the same, and then I tried it again when I heard there was going to be a thing. But
yeah, there was also the news this weekend that IDW has extended their little Star Trek license, and that they're going to have a new ongoing Lower Decks comic book series.
Yes. That's perfect. That's a perfect place for Lower Decks to land.
One more comic book for us to never get caught up on.
Right.
Until they put out the omnibus of everything.
Sure.
Okay.
Charles,
did we get it all? Go ahead.
Yeah, one quick question. You made the comment about, the whole thing with Prodigy. So all this stuff is on Paramount Plus. Is that correct? The Start for the Academy and Section 31? Is that?
Yeah, Prodigy. Not, but everything else is.
Everything else. So that's always weird to me. Why would they jettison and cancel Prodigy and then bring all these new properties in? It's because you remember when this first started happening a year or so ago, we all started wondering were we going to go back into that weird lull where there's no real new Star Trek push.
Right.
And it turns out that's not the case. So it's really odd what happened with Prodigy. I don't even understand that. That's just strange.
My guess is they needed a tax break.
Yeah.
And to make their spreadsheets look better 2 days before the end of the fiscal year. And so Prodigy went out because it was like the last week of June. And I don't know how their fiscal year works, but mine at work goes July to June. And so
Same here.
Ours does too.
it was the scramble or someone was saving their job the last week of the fiscal year. My guess is, and dumped Prodigy.
God, that's just,
I know.
forgive my French, but shitty.
Yeah,
I will never not be upset about this.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Agreed.
So one last thing, Matt says, we can quote Alan, friendship is nonsense.
So real quick, out of everything we discussed, what's the single thing y'all are most excited about from everything you just heard we discussed?
Most excited about?
Lower Decks.
Yeah.
Lower Decks.
Yeah, I'd say Lower Decks, but also I'm intrigued by this Tawny Newsome new series.
Yeah.
True.
You know?
True.
Really?
Yeah. But also I'm really excited about Academy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Super excited. The casting announcements this weekend just upped my excitement level. I mean, because before all we had were like relatively unknown actors who looked great and I thought were going to be really good in the series, but now we've got something that I can like anchor onto, you know, like I've got Tilly, which we kind of figured anyway, but I've got Reno and I've got the EMH and I've got Admiral Silver Fox, you know, so I'm excited about it. I think it's a great mix of established characters and brand new characters. I think it's going to be great. I'm really thrilled about it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I'm actually probably most interested in the Section 31 movie because it's so different from anything I thought I wanted, and I just don't know. It could be awesome because remember we always talked about that we would love to see a string of TV movies so that they don't have to commit one. Charles, like you said, commit a whole bunch of money to a series, and maybe so sometimes sometimes even 10-episode series they kind of start flagging toward the end, and so. And I'm from a time period, some of us are, when you used to always have TV movies of the week on ABC, CBS, and that you got good stuff. So I'm just intrigued by that one. I'm very intrigued by that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm excited about every one of these shows, though. I mean, new Star Trek.
Wow,
I'm thrilled.
Yeah. All right. Well, Keith, where can people find more of you?
You can find me on X and Facebook, primarily the ESO Network Facebook groups.
And how about you, Alan?
CosmicCreative.com. KOZMIC Creative.com.
And how about us, Veronica?
FeltNerdy.com.
And?
Monkeying Around, a podcast about the monkeys.
And you can still find us this coming Thursday at our regular day and time. And Veronica, tell the folks what we're going to be talking about on Thursday.
We are going to be talking about the Subspace Rhapsody picture show that we will be doing at DragonCon, where I will be playing Pelia. And we will be joined by the director and at least one other cast member, potentially two. We shall see.
Wayne, you hear that? You hear that, Wayne?
And that's going to be this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, which you can find on our YouTube channel. Or if you can't be there that day and time, you can watch it after the fact or listen to it on your favorite podcast platform.
And I just remembered another bit of news.
Okay.
During the Strange New Worlds panel, they did mention that they are trying to figure out how to bring Subspace Rhapsody to the stage.
They did. Calm down, Alan.
I mean,
I'm going to say we're doing it first. We're bringing it to the stage first.
Alan was like, they had to request denied.
No, I mean, how would that even work when so much of it is about ongoing plot threads with each character that doesn't have a beginning point in this episode and doesn't have an end point in that episode? It doesn't matter. I see. Okay.
All right. Well, do you have a closing for us this week, Veronica? Do it quick.
Friendship is nonsense.
Hey, perfect. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Appreciate
All right,
it,
see y'all Thursday night.
Later.
Bye.